What if everything you thought you understood about the NFL playoff race just got obliterated in one night? Not by a miracle finish or a fluke bounce, but by a cold, surgical dismantling that forced everyone watching to finally confront a truth they've been avoiding all season. Because that's exactly what happened when San Francisco walked onto the field and didn't just beat the Colts, but erased them, exposed them, and in the process blew up the entire postseason picture in a way that feels uncomfortable for analysts, terrifying for contenders, and intoxicating for a fan base that has quietly watched its team hide in plain sight, while the rest of the league chased shinier storylines. This wasn't just 48 points on a scoreboard. This was a statement that made every so-called favorite in the conference flinch. Because domination like this doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a team knows exactly who it is and dares the rest of the league to do something about it. The uncomfortable part is that the warning signs have been there for weeks, maybe months, and yet the conversation kept drifting elsewhere, to other quarterbacks, other teams, other narratives that felt safer to debate. Until suddenly San Francisco ripped that comfort away and forced the entire NFL world to recalibrate in real time. You don't score at will, never punt, survive injuries, elevate everyone around you, and casually open a direct path to the number one seed without fundamentally changing the power structure of the league. And that's why this night hit differently, because it wasn't loud hype or manufactured drama. It was undeniable dominance that made excuses sound hollow and skepticism feel lazy. And now everyone is scrambling to explain why they didn't see it coming, even though it was right there the entire time. And here's where the story truly ignites. Because while San Francisco was torching Indianapolis, the ripple effects were crashing through the entire playoff landscape at the same time, locking in the Jaguars, the Bills, and the Chargers, reshuffling expectations, and turning what felt like a wide-open, unpredictable season into something far more dangerous for anyone standing in San Francisco's way. ESPN breaks down the playoff picture not because it's fun, but because it suddenly demands explanation. Because when a team wins like this, when Brock Purdy throws 5 touchdowns, when Christian McCaffrey looks unstoppable, when the defense scores on you and the punter might as well be on vacation, you're no longer talking about a good team having a good night. You're talking about a contender announcing itself at full volume. That's why Joe Buck and Troy Aikman keep coming back to the same point, that this league feels wide open, but some teams are getting hot at exactly the right time, and San Francisco looks like one of them, healthier, sharper, more confident, and more dangerous than anyone wants to admit. If you're enjoying this breakdown and you want more real, unfiltered NFL analysis like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a like, because this postseason is about to get wild, and we're just getting started. Now let's get into what actually happened and why it matters so much more than a final score ever could. Because the most revealing part of this game isn't just that San Francisco scored 48 points, it's how effortlessly they did it, how complete the performance was, and how every voice on the broadcast kept circling back to the same idea that this team has been hiding in plain sight. Joe Buck says it outright, that the NFC feels wide open, that the whole league feels impossible to predict week to week. And yet here are the 49ers playing offense at a level that forces you to stop guessing and start acknowledging reality. Brock Purdy, dealing with a bad toe earlier in the season, looks healthier, more decisive, and more in command than ever. And Troy Aikman's assessment is brutal in its simplicity, because you can't watch this game and conclude anything other than that both quarterbacks played well, and yet one team still got demolished. That's the part that should scare everyone else, because Philip Rivers didn't embarrass himself, he didn't collapse, he didn't melt under the lights, he actually inspired people, and it still wasn't close enough, because San Francisco's offense was operating on a different plane. Think about that for a moment, because this wasn't a bad Colts effort offensively. It was a reminder of what happens when one side of the ball simply cannot keep up. Aikman points out that Indianapolis couldn't run the football, the offensive line was banged up, and the defense didn't show up in any meaningful way to slow down San Francisco. And that's where the conversation gets uncomfortable, because those same problems exist for a lot of playoff-bound teams right now. You can respect Philip Rivers. You can admire his leadership, his courage, his ability to step back onto an NFL field after 5 years away and perform the way he did at 44 years old. But respect doesn't win games in January, and it definitely doesn't stop a machine that's firing on every cylinder. And when you listen closely to what Buck Aikman and later Ryan Clark are actually saying, the praise for San Francisco isn't flashy hype, it's structural. It's about how the offensive line is played, how the ground game with McCaffrey sets the tone, how Brock Purdy processes information so quickly that defenses feel like they're constantly a step behind. Ryan Clark's breakdown is especially revealing because he doesn't just marvel at the throws. He explains the understanding between Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, the telepathy, the way the quarterback knows exactly what the coach wants and still has the freedom to improvise and attack whatever defense he's seeing. That's not something you scheme up overnight. That's not something you fake for a few weeks. That's the kind of quarterback-coach relationship that wins in the playoffs. And yet, the most controversial undercurrent of this entire broadcast is how calmly everyone acknowledges that San Francisco has a direct path to the #1 seed, almost as if that realization snuck up on them mid-sentence. Trent Williams even admits that people suddenly woke up to it after watching Seattle and Los Angeles. And that's the part that reveals how misaligned the national conversation has been. The path has been there. The wins have been there. The resilience through injuries has been there. And still the league kept looking elsewhere. Williams talks about tunnel vision, about taking it 1 week at a time, about facing 3 straight playoff teams. And you can hear the confidence without arrogance, the belief without recklessness. That's not empty talk. That's a locker room that understands what's in front of it and isn't afraid of the work required to get there. What makes this even more fascinating is how much respect is shown for Kyle Shanahan throughout the broadcast, because Williams doesn't hesitate when asked about his coach, calling this the best job Shanahan has ever done, especially considering the losses on defense, the injuries to key leaders, the emotional toll that can derail a season if it isn't handled correctly. This is where the narrative sharpens, because great teams don't just survive adversity, they absorb it, they adapt, and they keep moving forward without making excuses. When Williams talks about losing Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and how hard that is on a locker room, he's not glossing over it. He's acknowledging the reality and then pointing out that the team kept going anyway. That's not luck, that's culture. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, Phillip Rivers becomes a subplot that somehow adds weight to San Francisco's dominance rather than diminishing it. The broadcast goes out of its way to honor Rivers, to discuss his Hall of Fame candidacy, to point out how coming back might actually help his legacy because of the respect it reignited around the league. Ryan Clark flat out calls him a Hall of Famer and a leader of men, someone who could be an NFL head coach whenever he wants. And yet, even with all that admiration, even with Rivers inspiring teammates and fans alike, the reality remains that San Francisco still put the game on ice with a pick six, still didn't punt for the second game in a row, still dictated every meaningful moment of the night. That contrast is the story, because it shows how unforgiving this level of football is when you run into a team that's peaking at the wrong time for everyone else. And then there's Brock Purdy, the quiet center of this entire storm, throwing 5 touchdowns, making reads that Ryan Clark dissects frame by frame, showing how he manipulates defenders, how he understands coverage, how he trusts his weapons and his scheme. Clark doesn't just praise him, he explains why it works, pointing out the cloud coverage, the hook defender, the way McCaffrey leaks out into space, the precision and timing of the throw. This isn't backyard football. This is high-level execution that requires confidence, trust, and repetition. And it's happening on a stage where mistakes are usually magnified, not hidden. What's controversial here isn't that San Francisco won. It's that they've forced everyone to admit that the playoff conversation might have been wrong all along. While the Jaguars, Bills, and Chargers clinch and rightly earn their place, the shadow looming over the postseason is this 49ers team that looks complete, composed, and quietly terrifying. Joe Buck says it, Troy Aikman reinforces it, Ryan Clark breaks it down, and Trent Williams embodies it. This team believes, and belief paired with execution is the most dangerous combination in the NFL. As the broadcast winds down, the optimism from Williams isn't reckless. It's measured, grounded in the understanding that goals don't mean anything unless you play the games and earn them. He talks about not counting eggs before they hatch, about commitment to the process, about confidence built over weeks of work, and that's what makes this story resonate beyond one night. This wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a hot streak out of nowhere. It was a reveal, A moment where the curtain got pulled back and the league had to confront what's been developing all season. And that's why this game, this broadcast, and this playoff breakdown matter so much, because the NFL doesn't wait for anyone to catch up to reality. San Francisco didn't ask for validation. They took it, and now the rest of the conference has to respond. The Jaguars, Bills, and Chargers may have clinched, but the message from this night is clear and uncomfortable. The road through the playoffs just got a lot more dangerous, and ignoring the 49ers any longer isn't just a mistake, it's a liability.